I'm remarrying with my junior. You are no longer needed. What do you mean by no longer needed? Can't you understand? I don't need you anymore, so you don't have to come back. Why all of a sudden? It's not sudden. I've been thinking about it for a while. I thought now would be a good time. One day, I received a call from my husband on my way home from work, and he suddenly asked me for a divorce. To have such an important conversation over the phone. Furthermore, I've been juggling housework, child-rearing, caregiving, and part-time work for 15 years. It's not something my husband, who has been enjoying himself all this time, should be saying. But when my husband said he wanted a divorce, I couldn't help but smile a little. I understand. Well then, goodbye. It's good that you accepted it so quickly. Well, it's over now. He already has a new partner to remarry, so he seems to be in high spirits. However, I can imagine what might happen to him from now on. I'm 54 years old and work part-time. I've been married for almost 30 years. My daughter, Haley, got a job and moved out, and my father-in-law has already passed away due to illness. So, now I live with my husband, Tom, and my mother-in-law, Susan, in her house. We moved into my in-laws' house 15 years ago, when my father-in-law passed away. I can't leave my mother alone. So, I'm thinking of living together with her. I agree. Your mother is only 65, but she has mild dementia. And Haley is in the 3rd grade, right? If we move a few years later, during her elementary school graduation or exam period, the change in environment might make it tough for Haley, right? You're right. We've been talking about living together someday. Maybe it's better to start living together now. That's how my life began to live with my mother-in-law in her family home. Furthermore, if my mother-in-law's dementia progresses, it would be difficult to balance work and caregiving. So, I decided to quit my job and work part-time. I could have waited a little longer to quit my job, but I wanted to spend more time with my daughter, so I moved up my plans, just like living with my mother-in-law. Susan, I'm going shopping, so I'll leave the laundry to you. Is there anything you want me to buy? My peeler broke, so please buy me a new one. That's right. I'll get one for you. My mother-in-law has dementia, but her symptoms are not severe. She mostly just forgets things, and it doesn't affect her daily life much. She helps with household chores and taking care of our daughter, and our relationship is good. I was a bit nervous about living with her, but once we started, it was surprisingly peaceful. However, after a while of living in my mother-in-law's house, my husband's attitude gradually started to change. My mother-in-law helps with household chores and taking care of my daughter, and I quit my job and switched to working part-time. As a result, the burden on me in daily life has significantly decreased compared to before. This is a positive change, but it seems my husband is not pleased with it. You're lucky. Household chores and taking care of Haley have become easier for you. On top of that, you quit your job. It must be a breeze. It's true that the burden has decreased, but household chores and taking care of Haley are still challenging, and I'm also working part-time. With my mom's help, the burden of household chores and taking care of Haley has been cut in half. What's so challenging? And your part-time job is just arranging vegetables at the supermarket, right? What's so hard about that? Did something unpleasant happen at work for my husband? He started saying things he hadn't said before. However, my daughter and mother-in-law support me, so I feel reassured. Did you hear? Your dad is making fun of your mom again. Don't become an adult like him. I know. We shouldn't look down on people like that. You too. Don't butt in unnecessarily. I wasn't butting in. I was just talking with Grandma. That's right. Besides, there's no need for you to yell at us like that all of a sudden. That's enough. Maybe because he felt uncomfortable at home with no one on his side, my husband turned to his hobbies. I think it's his own fault that no one is on his side. However, sulking and turning to hobbies when you are a grown man is pathetic. Still, it would have been fine if he just quietly indulged in his hobbies. But there was a small problem with my husband's hobby. What? Did you buy another one? Don't you already have the same thing? To you, it might look the same, but this new fishing rod is different from the old one. You were working on the motorcycle the other day, weren't you? How much did you spend on it? Quit nagging. It's my hard-earned money, and I can spend it however I want. One of the purposes of his hobbies is to get out of the house. Therefore, he has many outdoor hobbies such as fishing, biking, and camping. These hobbies cost money. Since my husband spends money as he pleases, I've had to lead a frugal life and manage our household finances. Hey, your clothes are torn, you know? They're torn. That's why I'm wearing them as lounge clothes. Why don't you just buy lounge clothes? You're so frugal. The reason why I don't buy loungewear is that someone here spends too much money. Yet he laughs about it. It is annoying. 10 years have passed, and my mother-in-law's dementia has gotten worse. The glasses I left here are missing. Someone must have stolen them. Even if someone stole your reading glasses, who would use them? Then it must be harassment. Mom and I wouldn't do something like that. You must have left them somewhere else. Let's look for them together. They were left in the bathroom last time, so I'll go check. My mother-in-law started having sudden delusions about things being stolen, and at night she would become restless and yell loudly. Being a caregiver is challenging in such situations. However, I knew my kind-hearted mother-in-law, who used to help me a lot with household chores and taking care of Haley. To repay her kindness, I took good care of her. But caregiving is quite demanding, and even though I put in a lot of effort and determination, both my physical and mental health gradually deteriorated. At that time, my daughter was in college, and also worked part-time after school, so she often came home late and had to study even after returning. Therefore, I couldn't burden her too much. So, I discussed the situation with my husband, but... What? You should keep taking care of my mom. Didn't you quit your job for that? I'm not doing it. My husband remained as indifferent as ever, immersed in his hobbies, and had no intention of helping with household chores or caregiving. I've contemplated divorce countless times due to his attitude. However, I was enduring it, thinking I should at least wait until our daughter becomes independent. I couldn't expect any help from my husband. So I reluctantly took care of my mother-in-law mostly on my own, occasionally seeking assistance from our daughter. Then, another 5 years have passed, and our daughter graduated from college and got a job. It is a truly joyous moment. However, my husband decided to throw a wrench into the situation. Haley, you've become a fine adult. You've got a decent job, right? I must have raised you well. From now on, you should earn well and do something nice for us. Huh? Not for you. If anything, I should do that for Mom and Grandma. What? Is that how you talk to the parent who raised you? It was Mom who raised me. Don't expect unconditional respect just because you're my father. Seriously, I'm so unlucky to be born as your daughter. What did you say? You brat. Are you getting angry because I told you the truth? Hey! Both of you, stop it! It was getting close to a physical confrontation, so I intervened and stopped their fight. The situation was resolved at that moment, but the next day, my husband created another turmoil. Hey! What have you done? As soon as my daughter got home, she grabbed my husband. What's going on? This guy called my company and lied to them that I want to decline the job offer. Is that true? What are you thinking? Since you've been rebelling against me, I thought of giving you a little taste of reality and show you how great your parents are. You. Seriously, stop messing around. For now, both of you calm down. I separated my daughter from my husband. My daughter was still agitated, but my husband seemed to wear a smug expression, as if to say, "How do you like that?" So, Haley, is everything okay with your company? Yeah. The HR person called me to confirm. I told them I'm not declining the offer, so the job offer remains valid. What the hell? So, you didn't lose the job offer? Damn it. You know what? I may not have lost the job offer, but now they have the worst impression of me even before I start the job. What are you going to do about it? Those rebellious kids who go against their parents will end up with a bad impression after starting the job anyway. You just gave them a bad impression a little sooner. That's all. Haley, don't you think it'll just annoy you more if you keep talking? Go to your room. I told my daughter to go to her room to defuse the situation, and that marked the end of the day's argument. Afterward, there was a heavy atmosphere in the house. Then, my daughter moved out for work without exchanging a single word with my husband. She was worried about me staying behind at home until the very end. Mom, are you still gonna stay in this house? Because your grandma is here. He should be taking care of grandma, too. Don't say it like that. I used comforting words, but I was worn out from my husband's attitude and my mother-in-law's care, to be honest. I also want to leave. I guess my thoughts showed on my face, which only worried my daughter more. Since my new place is close by, feel free to rely on me if anything happens. Thank you. I appreciate that. A few days after my daughter left, my husband called while I was on my way home from my part-time job. Did you finish your part-time job? Yes, I'm on my way home now. Good timing. What? I'm going to remarry my junior colleague. You are no longer needed. What do you mean by no longer needed? Can't you understand? I don't need you anymore, so you don't have to come back. Why all of a sudden? It's not sudden. I've been thinking about it for a while. Now seems like a good time. What do you mean by a good time? Haley moved out and became independent, right? I've thought about divorcing, too. Remarriage at older age is not uncommon, so I don't think anything of my husband remarrying. However, I've been working hard for 15 years, juggling housework, child-rearing, caregiving, and part-time work. Especially in the past 5 years, caregiving for my mother-in-law was challenging. While I was struggling, my husband enjoyed his hobbies. Why should he be the one to ask for a divorce instead of me? Moreover, why did he choose to talk about such an important matter over the phone? What nonsense are you talking about? I should be saying this and trembling with anger. However, I was exhausted both physically and mentally after 15 years, and our daughter was already living by herself, so I decided to accept my husband's request without resistance. I understand. Well then, goodbye. It's good that you accepted it so quickly. Well, this is the end for us. After hanging up, I thought about going back to the house to get my belongings, but my bag, wallet, and work clothes were with me. The only things left at home were tattered clothes that I couldn't replace due to our frugal lifestyle. I decided to follow my husband's wishes and not return home. 15 years have passed since I had quit my job, and at 54 years old, my future looked bleak. But as I thought about what would become of my husband, I couldn't help but smile. For the time being, I decided to go to my daughter's house. I'm sorry for coming all of a sudden. Mom, you don't need to apologize. The one who did something wrong is him, suddenly talking about divorce, right? If it's going to be brought up, it should have been by you. Why did he say it first? Who does he think he is? Haley, please calm down. Mom, you're too calm. What are you going to do now? Well, should I go ahead and get divorced? That's the right thing to do. You should split up with that guy as soon as possible. But, your grandma. Mom, you've taken care of Grandma for a long time. It's more than enough. I'm sure Grandma appreciates it, and she'll probably support the divorce. Besides, we should make him do something for Grandma, too. You might be right. Encouraged by Haley's words, I decided to divorce. I had already accepted it, and my husband had someone else, so the divorce proceeded smoothly. This place is a bit small, but you're welcome to stay here as long as you like. Or should we save some money and move to a slightly bigger place together? Thank you, but I will leave after a while. After the divorce, I stayed with Haley for a while. However, I didn't want to inconvenience her for too long, so after about 3 months, I moved into a small apartment. And so, my life as a single person began. Just when I thought a peaceful life was starting, my husband called me. Hello, I messed up. Please come back. Huh? We're already divorced, right? Why do I have to go back? Well, my new partner ran away. I knew it. I couldn't help but laugh. My husband's new partner had left him, and he couldn't manage caregiving and life alone, so he came crying to me. It was exactly as I had imagined. Shall I guess what happened? What? What do you know? I know. We were married for about 30 years. You made your new partner quit her job, made her work part-time, and even made her take care of your mother, right? Since you know about my mom's situation, you could easily guess that, couldn't you? But because caregiving was tough, she complained to you, didn't she? And also you didn't even help her, right? Well. And when she checked the finances, she found out that money was tight due to your extravagance. Even after your wife pointed out about your spending habits, you didn't listen and you two started fighting frequently. Ugh. You've been abandoned because she couldn't bear the difficult caregiving and the financial hardship. Both situations could have been avoided if you had just changed your attitude. It seems that my predictions were right on the mark, and I could sense my husband losing his vigor even over the phone. But you managed, didn't you? I was able to endure a difficult life, because I had made up my mind to endure it until our daughter became independent. Did your new partner have any determination? If not, do you think she can endure a life where she can't even buy clothes while you spend money as you please? Well. As for caregiving, I was able to do it because I knew the kind mother-in-law who helped with household chores and taking care of Haley before her dementia became severe. It may be a wrong way to say it, but the fact that your mother's dementia gradually progressed allowed me to gradually adapt to caregiving. And because I did household chores and took care of Haley with your mother for a long time, I somehow understood what she wanted to say and how she felt even after her dementia got worse. Did your new partner have any caregiving experience? If she was asked to suddenly take care of your mother, who has severe dementia all by herself, without any prior connection to her like I did, she wouldn't be able to do it, would she? My husband understood nothing about our living expenses or caregiving for his mother. Therefore, even during process of the divorce, I presented unfavorable conditions to my husband, since he already had a new partner, but he accepted most of the conditions, not understanding his situation. As one of the conditions, I made him take his family home, and I took most of our savings. He probably thought that he could save money again easily, but now that his new wife is gone, the reality has hit him, and he's calling me in panic. Predicting this was quite easy. Of course, even if he begged me, I had no intention of returning to him. I understand that you're in a difficult situation, but I have no intention of returning at all. Please don't say that. If you were going to regret like this, then why did you spend money selfishly, lash out at me and Haley, and didn't help with caregiving? Well, things weren't going well at work. Apparently, my husband made a huge mistake at work when we started living with his mother. The mistake was almost bad enough to get him transferred to a remote location. He was irritated when he saw me quitting my job and having less burden of household chores and taking care of Eliana when he was struggling with work. Furthermore, he panicked as his mistake led to more mistakes, and he lost credibility at work, lagging behind as his colleagues were getting promoted. He had apparently vented the stress from this pressure through reckless spending and taking it out on me and our daughter. In other words, in simple terms, you just acted recklessly, didn't you? That's right. I'll change my attitude from now on, so please come back. I can't go back more so now after hearing that. Did I endure 15 years of hardship because of your mood? I'm really sorry. It's unfortunate, but your apology doesn't sound like it contains the weight of 15 years of hardship. Don't call me anymore. I ignored my husband's desperate pleas and hung up. This should mark the real end of my relationship with him. However, after being rejected by me, it seems he turned to our daughter for help. I heard he called you? Yes, he did. He said he can't manage to live just with Grandma, so he begged for help. Didn't he call you too? He did, but what he told me was exactly the same as what he told you, haha. I had had arguments with him before, and he had said, "How dare you talk to your parent and such," but where do you find a parent who would ask for help to their child who has just started working? He must be desperate. I think he just wants an easier life. If he tries hard, he should be able to manage to live with Grandma. I wonder if your grandma will be okay with just him. Don't worry about that. I'll check on her from time to time. If she's not being properly cared for, I'll give him a piece of my mind. Of course, I won't help him out. I'll make sure he takes responsibility. But if you go to their house, won't he beg for help again? I'll turn him down flat. If he wants my help, he'd better start acting like a parent first. Like what? Well, if he's been spending money as he pleases, how about having him pay for my tuition? That seems impossible for him now, thanks to my daughter's help. The concerns I had about my ex-mother-in-law after the divorce were resolved. Now I can start my life with peace of mind. After the divorce, my ex-husband, who was abandoned by his new wife, ended up taking care of his mother himself. He switched jobs to a company that allowed remote work as he couldn't take care of his mother with the job he had before. However, the conditions with his new job were not so great, and his income, which wasn't great to begin with, has decreased even more. He is already in his mid-50s, and he had always been a low-performing employee at his previous company, so he was an ordinary employee without a title for a long time. He didn't have many options. He can consider himself fortunate to have succeeded in finding a new job. But even though he was allowed to work from home, it didn't mean he never had to go to the office. So, it seems he's using the nursing care services in the daytime, which further strain his already difficult financial situation. Moreover, my ex-husband had to suddenly take care of housework, work, and caregiving all by himself. He must have understood how difficult it was to handle all of this and how much he had burdened his new partner. I was taking care of our daughter on top of all that. Did he realize how significant my presence was? My ex-husband seemed to be quite physically and mentally exhausted, and he was under a lot of pressure. Neighbors often heard him and my ex-mother-in-law shouting at each other late at night. However, when my daughter found out that my ex-husband had a bad attitude towards my ex-mother-in-law, she yelled at him. "I've heard from Grandma. She said you yelled at her?" "Yeah, she said that I stole her money yesterday. Even though I didn't. Grandma often loses things. Didn't you see that Mom and I were always helping her search for things? Instead of yelling, you should help her look for it." Thanks to my daughter scolding her father, the frequency of shouting at night seems to have decreased. However, it's quite surprising that a man in his mid-50s can be scolded by his child, who's just graduated from college. This makes me wonder how he ever felt entitled to say anything about the way a child should talk to their parents. I began living on my own and started working. Even at 54, with a 15-year career gap, it was surprisingly manageable to find a job. Freed from the frugal life and the husband, I'm enjoying a life of freedom.